to PLF 2024, and today I have Pradeep Bhandari with me, to whom I will ask questions to better understand how the South votes. So Pradeep, I have been born and brought up here, and I know that it is often touted that Tamil Nadu has overcome caste. What is your because you're a psephologist who's slightly different.
Yes.
You know, you don't do sample surveys, you actually go on the ground.
Yes.
So you can speak from a ground level of reporter, you can speak from your experience of interacting with people. Is caste important in Tamil Nadu politics?
Well, absolutely yes. And having in the past traversed across Tamil Nadu, caste is definitely very, very integral. In fact, as rural in the areas you go, caste becomes more dominant. So unlike popular narrative that in southern states in particular caste is not that important, and in UP and Bihar caste is important, when you look at voting trends, and as a political party also when the BJP looks at voting trends, definitely caste representation is important. And if you see the emergence of two regional parties in Tamil Nadu, particularly the DMK and the AIDMK, both have been on base of base caste and on obviously charismatic leadership at the end of Jayalalitha ji, and also at a time when Karunanidhi used to helm of affairs of DMK. Now we in the Bharatiya Janata Party have Annamalai ji driving things in Tamil Nadu, and we are seeing a significant amount of progress. But if you look at it overall, whether it is the Gaundars and the other caste, what I come across is that if I segregate it age-wise, in particular a age bracket of more than 40 years, caste becomes the main dominant factor in driving voting outcomes. For women, it is welfare by the political parties which is announced that takes a primacy in Tamil Nadu. But overall, if I want to segregate and see, I would say that if I rank the southern states, then Tamil Nadu would come first, then will come Kerala, then to an extent Karnataka and Telangana. The caste barrier is not broken to an extent in Tamil Nadu. It gets, I'll tell you what, if you look at any state, every state politically goes through an inflection point where a charismatic leader comes into the picture, and that charismatic leader is able to get cross-caste vote even in an assembly level. Pan-India, we have seen Prime Minister Narendra Modi being that leader who's been able to drive things on a national level. And state and local elections in Tamil Nadu, you have to see that inflection happening.
So one of the things that, let us not deny it and let us say it as it is, Dravidian politics is actually divisive, it thrives on division. Yes. So two things, one is Dravidian identity and the second is anti-Brahmin.
Yeah.
So when you look at let's look at both the things. One is to what extent is there anger or is there a reflex among the Tamilians of today? Because let's face it, it's not all the 4 states that are buying into Dravidian philosophy. So to what extent do you feel this reflex anger against the quote-unquote North? And second, when you see caste playing an important role, are the Brahmins the most casteist in Tamil Nadu?
Well, I won't say that, but let me tell you in particular, if I look at the entire state, let us look at different states differently. So if I look in particular in Tamil Nadu, what we see as a difference is that earlier, but in particular for the Bharatiya Janata Party, say before 2014 and all, there was a huge resistance as an anti-negativism was there. In this time, what I found on the ground before the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, even which was not in the case before 2019, that there was an acceptance to the Bharatiya Janata Party's and Prime Minister's vision. Now see, any party which starts with a zero-based vote will take certain amount of time to convert into seats. But the resistance which was there, we could not see that on the ground this time. Now see, there is a history to Dravidian politics, and this is localized to the state of Tamil Nadu, that all the leaders who thrived in Tamil Nadu from both the parties had thrived on an anti-center pitch. And this has happened since the late 50s and early 60s, and this has been happening consistently. This is why if you see even the Congress, when it was in its prime, it depreciated in terms of its vote share. And even today in Tamil Nadu, if you leave the alliance with DMK, the Congress will not be able to put a significant amount of votes or seats. So it thrives on only DMK's alliance. Whereas with the BJP, the positive part has been that particularly during the 2024 elections, that the acceptance of Bharatiya Janata Party as a unit has happened. Now when we have right alliances, you will see that building into a winning combination. For Telangana in particular, I can tell you that the Bharatiya Janata Party is the force to look forward to. Even in the Lok Sabha, the Prime Minister, if you see the vote share that we got, it was more than 2019, it was more than 2014. And when I travelled in the state of Telangana, across the different geographies and northern Telangana, southern Telangana, there is a huge acceptance for the Prime Minister. See, why do I reiterate Prime Minister? Because in politics, every party will come with a base vote. But you need a leader to get the swing vote across going, which is the neutral voter, which is not the cadre vote. This is what a leader does. This is what the Prime Minister has done for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Karnataka, the BJP has been historically strong. Kerala, this time you saw the BJP getting 1 seat. So if you look in total number of votes, I can tell you with data that the BJP this time has got more votes in the southern states in combined than the Congress party. And if you remember, it was considered that the Bharatiya Janata Party will only get votes in the north. But this time in the southern states, if the Congress gets say seats X, the BJP has also got X plus minus delta X. So there is no big difference between the number of seats that the Congress has got or the BJP has got in the southern state. So we have seen an acceptance of the Bharatiya Janata Party in south. And you will see that changing in the coming course of future. Two states where the BJP now has become the main dominant force is Telangana and Karnataka, where we are a fighting unit to win. Tamil Nadu is a long-term project where we will take time, but we are in the right direction. Kerala, we have made minor inroads. Andhra Pradesh still continues to be a fight between two regional players, whether it is the TDP, which is our alliance partner, and YSRCP.
Now, the thing is that you see, I can understand, especially as a Bengali, that the Modi's vision of development and, very unabashedly I will say that there is faith that the corruption down the line and siphonage of funds is less. But you see, Bengal is impoverished. Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, traditionally UP have been not the, they have been, it's a migrant states, they go elsewhere. The problem with Tamil Nadu is that, not problem actually, Tamil Nadu is not a poor state that way.
True.
So, and yet it has been what it is with the alternations of Dravidian parties. So, what is the vision of the BJP? Like, it's not, you can't sell enrichment to it. Of course, you can always get richer. So, what is the idea there?
See, the Tamil Nadu politics is going through a vacuum. And if you see the DMK, whenever it is in power, it has not been able to repeat into power for 10 years or 15 years in consecutive. And it has never been able to come back on the plank of governance. Historically, it is the case. Now, you see DMK's government in Tamil Nadu, if you do a basic dipstick, it's not a popular government. Now, what the BJP in particular needs in Tamil Nadu, and this is what we are working, we have a charismatic leader on the ground in front of Mr. Annamalai. We need to stitch a right alliances, which our party leadership will definitely do, so that we can pull significant votes in order to get the anti-incumbency. I would say definitely that, as a single unit, the Bharatiya Janata Party is strong, but it needs alliance push in order to become a winning combination. Our nationally, our challenge in the past, particularly in the last 10 years, was to take our ideology and accept our ideology in the boundaries where we were not there. So if you remember in 2014, we got 90% of the seats when we got majority from only 60% of the geography. So we peaked out in the Hindi heartland. During 2019, we made some inroads in Odisha, major inroads in Bengal, and these were two states where we were not historically dominant force, and some parts in Telangana. Now this time, even though we've dipped a bit in the Hindi heartland, but there we know what to correct. But we've made major inroads in Odisha. We are a very dominant force in Bengal, and this time we've got major inroads in Telangana, and we've made a increase in our vote share in Tamil Nadu. So now I can definitely tell you that we are a pan-India party that Congress used to be in the 50s.
So now you see, you spoke about UP, you said we know what went wrong, we know what to rectify. But the fact is that I am 52 years old and I know what UP was and what UP has become. And to me, that vote actually shocks. It doesn't shock me because BJP lost out. It just shocks me as to what were the people thinking, because how can you negate development, crime, less crime. Now the thing with Jammu and Kashmir, and that is my worry, is that let us just accept that before the dilution of Article 370, it was a state that was decades behind the rest of India. Article 370 dilution has allowed Jammu and Kashmir to catch up. We all know, it is true that our army is facing the brunt, but so much has come back there. We are at an election phase in Jammu and Kashmir. Do you fear, like I do, like a common man, that having tasted the development that integrating fully with India offers, you still have at election ideologies and slogans that ultimately will actually betray, the vote will betray this development?
I think Jammu and Kashmir ideology for me and for us is to do with national security more than just development. Because you have been an avid follower of politics from a distance. We've seen a time in Jammu and Kashmir where definitely separatism was mainstreamized in the politics of Jammu and Kashmir. What abrogation of Article 370 could successfully do is it could completely dehyphenate separatist politics from the politics of Jammu and Kashmir. For the first time, Jammu and Kashmir was completely integrated in the Union of India, and the Constitution of India was implemented in letter and spirit. More than 100 provisions like right to education, right to information, preservation for the Dalits were all implemented in Jammu and Kashmir. So it was a historic moment. Now when it votes, definitely this will be a momentous election for sure. There are certain territories in the valley where the demography is tilted and skewed, which is for sure a challenge. But I am extremely hopeful that they will not, by the time the results come out, I don't see a possibility where a government will be formed in Jammu and Kashmir without the BJP. If you remember the talk which I am giving in Pondy is also that a democracy's destiny is demography. So sometimes the demography, and which I will also prove with data, is such that whatever be the development, it does not become a parameter for voting in certain areas, which is a painful yet a starking reality. Now, so that is to do with Jammu and Kashmir. Overall, what I can tell you for sure, you were talking about UP. Sometimes in elections, there are certain trends which come as political black swan events, and those are trends which rarely can be observed, and mostly happen or are manufactured because of, I would say, combination of fake news which seeps into the picture. So at your Lit Fest, the governor gave an opening remark where he spoke about the theory of the anarchists and what anarchists do, where they try to propagate a fear. And that is something which they were to an extent successful in Uttar Pradesh to do so. This is why you could see a marginal decrease in the seats. But I am very, very sure that it is an aberration and not a norm. Okay. And sometimes that happens in Indian politics, and this is why politics is more on variables. Nobody can discount the fact that UP has developed, and the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister there have taken Uttar Pradesh forward in terms of development, in terms of security. But this time you can say as the outcome was a manifestation of combination of multiple fake news.
Okay. So now, ever since I was a child, I have been hearing that there is native intelligence in the Indian voter. That the Indian voter knows, the Indian voter can't be fooled. And I do know, because I am from Pondicherry and Tamil Nadu, that a freebie, literally, at election can swing my vote. So, but then again, because you're a little bit of a different psephologist, I want you to tell me, and this has nothing to do with votes, but how politically aware is India in general? Not only politically aware, how are they in cognizance of the fact that their lifestyles have changed, that things have improved, that connectivity is more, that education is giving you, skill development is there? To what extent is India in the heartlands realizing this? Like, is the native voter still in a state of, if I can get, I will take? Or is the native Indian saying that, okay, fine, I know if I do, I will get more?
See, there is definitely an acknowledgement of the fact that the lives have improved. This is why you've seen 2 successive majority verdicts, and for the first time in the last 50 years, a government coming with a very, very stable coalition for the 3rd time. This has not happened in post-independent India. And if you really read political commentary post-independence after Mr. Nehru, you will see nobody expected this to happen. Even Indira Gandhi could not do so, despite her all totalitarian, draconian provisions and way she worked and way she governed. So this is historic. But even 240 for me is historic because it's a very, very stable government, and I can give this to you in assurance. You will see with time that the will of the government is not different. Now let us come to what do the voters want. See, we have to understand that generally as a society and as individuals and beings, we are not a very satisfied lot. And this is what even we see in our families. And let us go back to a human psyche. Let's say, for example, a father or mother provides a child with certain amount of basic necessities, and that has been provided for certain amount of time. Post the manufacture, as time passes, the human will or the child will ask for more. Aspirations will rise. And what the parents had done in the past, it's a very simple example, may not become that that big a factor in the relationship of a parent and a child. It evolves and changes with time. Similarly, the relationship of the government with the voter is also a very evolving relationship. So say for example, a voter who's not seen the house for 60 years gets a pakka house. It is huge for the generation which lived for 60 years in say a juggi jhopadi. That for them it will be a lifelong, it's a life-changing moment. But imagine for a voter who's say the generation after that,
correct,
who's only spent majority time of his or her life in that pakka house, even if the father or the mother tells you that this is historic, they will not be able to understand and realize that. So we are seeing a large chunk of voter which is more aspirational and has not seen the past era. So even though, if say for example for a person like me who comes from Madhya Pradesh, Digvijay Singh used to be the chief minister at a time, and I literally had my childhood where light 24/7 electricity was not a luxury for us. We used to study in mombettis and candles at times early in the morning, which is a hard fact. So for me 24/7 electricity provided by the government is very, very important. But imagine for a large chunk of people who were born say post 2004, who have seen their adultery post 2014, for them traveling on a highway or a 8-lane, 6-lane highway is not a big deal because they've been doing it since ages. Say checking into a terminal 2, which is one of the best, the Indian airports are globally one of the best, may not be a big deal because they've not seen the state in the past. So that is a challenge for us as a political unit. And this is where the polity evolves, and we have an opponent. At this moment I see Aloji, and this I say very very responsibly, that no longer in India you are seeing a fight of political parties only. You are seeing fight of ideologies who are backed by forces. Mainstream political parties do not tend to take stand which are fringish in nature, is what late Arun Jaitley had said in the past. If you remember when his famous speech in Parliament, where Congress party had backed the Tukde Tukde Nare in JNU and they did not openly came out against it. Similarly, now just you were speaking about Jammu and Kashmir, you have Pakistan openly saying that okay fine, we are also in favor of getting back Article 370.
I was going to come to that.
And it's not a coincidence.
Yes.
See, if you remember the famous James Bond dialogue which says that once is happenstance, second is coincidence, and third time is enemy action. And it is multiple times that you've seen a mainstream political party who is right now in opposition taking a policy stance which tends to be similar to what our neighbor who is anti-us, whose state policy is anti-us, becomes completely similar. This is what is a more worrying factor for us.
That's true.
And this is what is happening even globally. If you see in many countries, the fight is no longer of political entities. The fight has become about forces. And this is what is a big challenge for us. Because I can tell you for sure, it's not that the BJP is in power in all state governments. You have 13 state governments where the BJP is in power. But the BJP has repeated multiple times a government. So if you see that if the BJP government comes, the tendency for that government to continue for say more than one term is more than what is for the Congress party. That's Congress has not repeated a single state government since 2011. It's a hard fact. Why? Because the narratives that they sell are not possible to be delivered in totality. For example, even in Telangana, even in Karnataka, even in Himachal, you see the financial state. So the voters realize eventually. But the time when they realize is where a lot of, I would say, a huge cost is being incurred by the state or by the nation.
Now, I want to come back on caste, and maybe this will be my last question, but I think it's very important. There is the only way we can retard our development is by dividing us.
Absolutely.
Again, I will go back to what the governor just told us, is that the unity is vital to us. So I want you to give me, without mincing words, your perspective on the potential of this fear-mongering and this concerted effort to again redivide India in caste lines. So you have to, in your words, explain to me the nature of the beast, and please make us aware as to how dangerous it can be. Because I don't want us to be caught sleeping. Like for instance, if you ask me, because my upbringing is very sheltered, I grew up in the ashram. Honestly, I'm extremely ignorant of caste. But it has. Can you define the problem? Can you make us aware of the danger?
Caste is not a problem. Caste consciousness is also not a problem. But dividing the society based on caste is. So, at the end of the day, if you understand the root vision which we are propagating forward and which we've been giving forward, is that every caste needs representation. See, an identity of a human being is based on multiple factors. It can be caste, it can be religious identity, it can be aspirational identity. At different points in time, some or the other identity takes the prominence. Now, post 2014, the good part has been that because many people have been lifted out of poverty, the caste dominated politics that used to be practiced earlier in the 90s, where it was only and only that caste will get you votes, that took a backseat, and people for the first time started to vote based on development. This is why we also got cross-caste vote,
yes,
and we became a pan-India party, which we are as of right now too. Unfortunately, the challenge which is in front of us is, as I told you, that our opponent is only focused on spreading this concerted fear in the mind of certain sections of the society that one or your other right might be taken away. In fact, nothing is taken away. In fact, the downtrodden have got the maximum benefit of this government. But the challenge now is that in an era where new 20 seconds video travel faster than anything, how do you counter this mammoth narrative of negativity which is being spread on the ground? And it is all based on fake news. If you look on merit, no caste in particular has been deprived of any development benefit. That's what a government does. And historically, the government's job is to provide welfare to the needy and provide equal opportunities to those who need. So yes, the challenge is significant and the dangers are significant because the intent of the other side is not positive. The intent of the other side is, in a sense, to divide the Hindu society.
Correct.
Because they know that ultimately, if they are able to divide the Hindu society, the minority vote is what they will get to 90% peak. There are certain districts where they can easily win. And if the Hindu vote is divided and the caste consciousness takes the precedence, then they'll be able to rule for a significant amount of time. And this Hindu renaissance which has happened, that will take a backseat. So, and if you've seen historically also, sorry to interject, Aluji, that whenever the Hindu renaissance takes backseat, it takes a large amount of time to come back. So my worry is that. Yeah. My worry is not that everybody is in favor of providing representation to caste. We are also in favor of caste census. But it should not be used as tool to divide different sections of the Hindu society and to pit one against the other. Because that is exactly what the Britishers had followed, and this is how it took us 100 years to get, more than 99 years to get independence. Yes. And right now we are it's an inflection point, which you and I also agree. Powers will change. And also I will tell you, Aloji, we are continuing to be a democracy, a thriving democracy, because our demography is not skewed and tilted. Primary study tells you that there are areas in this country where the demography is tilted, and because of tilt in demography, there is nothing else except religion which drives voting, and this has happened in the last 50 years in multiple places. So those are also significant challenges which can come in front of our country in the years to come. If you remember, we are seeing them in front of us. They've not become, they're not at a tipping point yet. But if this trend continues, absolutely, some parts might be at tipping point. And historically, we have suffered because of this. So we should be aware of these challenges. Only a united country can go forward. And it's just not about politics. Even world, there are many powers globally. You've seen what has happened in our neighborhood, who will not be able to digest a strong and a resurgent India. Because when a strong and a resurgent India happens, many global powers may not be able to push and pull policy actions the way they want. This is their larger problem post 2014, that we've always taken major decisions only in what is, in fact, all the decisions only based on our enlightened national interest. So this is my worry. So yes, Nobody in this country is against caste consciousness. It is a reality, we have to accept it. However, at the end of the day, what do everybody in the caste need? Everybody needs representation, a dignified living and wealth. Wealth has to percolate among people. It cannot be percolated only by distributing government jobs. It is important.
Exactly.
But when wealth is created in a nation, automatically more opportunities are created, more people are lifted out of poverty. This is what has happened post 2014. So yes, now as you do development, there will be some who might be left out, there will be some who might get more fruits of development. So it's the job of the government to provide more to the needy. But that does not mean that those who are left out, you pit them against the others. This is a dangerous narrative,
Correct.
which is what I am right now aware of and we should be aware of. It peaked in 2024. People are slowly, gradually seeing the other side of the narrative. But as I said, we are a very unsatisfied society and we have to be very aware about it. And for us, the enemies are not external. The more enemies are internal.
Absolutely. That's true.
So as they say that, people say that we should fight the fundamentalists. I think we should fight those among our society who provide cover fire, intellectual fire and political fire to the fundamentalists.
Absolutely.
Because you can see the fundamentalists, but you can't see the enemy within.
Correct. That's the difference between the urban Naxal versus the Naxal.
Absolutely.
Because
yes.
the Naxal is picking up the arms and getting killed
Yes.
in the process, but it is the urban Naxal that is actually playing with the Naxal
And
mind.
they persuade you
Yeah.
to think in a manner.
Absolutely. While not actually putting themselves in danger.
Absolutely.
But putting
Yes.
other people in
So that's
danger.
what happened in Jammu and Kashmir. If you do a big data study of all those leaders of these, particularly of the parties of the Muftis and the Mehboobas in the past 20-30 years, all their kids studied in the Ivy League universities, but they had the young and the youth in the valley throwing and pelting stones because it became an industry and an ecosystem in itself. That is my worry.
Okay. So, but still, ending on an optimistic note, thank you Pradeep for coming and looking forward to your session.
Thank you so
in a
much for
few
having me at
minutes.
Pondy Lit Festival, and
Yeah.
you are that drop in ocean in this intellectual journey of civilizational cultural renaissance. Hope to take this journey forward.
Thank you. I'm just a facilitator, nothing more.
Absolutely, yes, thank you.
Thank you.